Hey, what's up, everybody? True Boxing here. Thank you for coming back to get hit with the truth. So today, doing the aftermath video for Jaime Munguia versus Gabriel Rosado. That fight took place on Saturday, November 13th. It was the main event of a DAZN card, and it was a widely, viewed fight, and a lot of people were looking forward to seeing if the 25-year-old Jaime Munguia was legit. It's still, his build towards whether he's a serious threat in the middleweight division. He's undefeated. He's a former champ at 154, and he took on the veteran Rosado, who's fought for world titles and 35 now, but really had a surge of youth run through him in the last year or so, fighting to a controversial split decision loss to Daniel Jacobs in a fight that a lot of people thought he won, and then defeating Bektemir Melikuziev with a one-punch knockout, who is a highly regarded undefeated prospect on the rise, and he laid him out. That was at 168, so he did that on the undercard of Munguia beating Primus Osaleita back in June, so that earned him the fight with Munguia for late in the year. And Munguia left no doubt. Munguia dominated the action. He beat Rosado to the punch. He threw hard jabs and just was relentless. He stayed on him the whole fight. Rosado landed some good counter shots in return, but he just couldn't keep up with the younger and very strong Jaime Munguia. So it was a very good performance by Munguia. Tough loss for Rosado. And now, what's the aftermath from all this? Well, from Jaime Munguia's side, is it keeps the ball rolling for him. I just read the other day that he wants to return in February, and he's considering Sergey Derevyanchenko next, and he still is interested in a showdown with Triple G. Now, realistically, I don't know if the Triple G fight is possible from a couple standpoints. First off, Triple G might have a couple mandatories due. Triple G wants to fight Canelo. That's the big goal. And he might have a couple mandatories due if he doesn't get the Canelo fight. And he also said he wants to unify. Well, Jaime Munguia is not a champion right now at 160, so he might be asked out in terms of the Triple G sweepstakes. He had a chance to fight Triple G earlier this year. He didn't take up on that opportunity, so he might not get another crack at Triple G, at least until the second half of the year, maybe not at all in 2022. But a fight with Derevyanchenko makes a lot of sense because it would be to become the mandatory challenger at middleweight and to get a crack at Jermall Charlo, which is a fight that I think everybody wants to see. We're not sure if Charlo really wants that fight, but the WBC could put his feet to the fire by arranging an eliminator right here between Munguia and Derevyanchenko, and if Munguia wins, he goes and gets Charlo. That would be huge for Munguia. That's what he wants, is to go after a world title now. Now the WBO has passed him up and given the mandatory shot there to Janibek Alimkhanuly. The Kazakh style is his nickname. They've given him the right to challenge Demetrius Andre for the WBO belt. So now, this is going to be I believe this is fifth fight in middleweight for Munguia coming up, his next fight. And now it's time to put up or shut up. So, it looks like Derevyanchenko, in my opinion. I think that's the easiest fight to make from the stance that it would be a final eliminator and they can make the fight happen soon. And if that's the fight for February, the only problem I have is Derevyanchenko's fighting Carlos Adames this Sunday. In 2 days, he's fighting him. If he beats Adames, is he going to be ready to go by February to fight Munguia? It might not happen that quick. It might have to wait till March or April for that fight to go off. Would Munguia still be interested in that fight if he has to wait a month or two? That'd be the big question. So, gotta wait and see what happens there. To be honest, if Triple G is his interest, he'd have to wait around for March or for April or May for a fight with Triple G because Triple G's fighting at the end of December. He's not going to do a 2 or 3 month turnaround. So if Munguia is serious, then he'll wait around for the bigger fight. And I think Derevyanchenko is probably going to be who Munguia fights next in a WBC final eliminator. Now moving over to Gabriel Rosado, the veteran, former world title challenger. I hope Rosado's not considering retirement, and I'm going to tell you why. If Rosado looked good at super middleweight, you know, the fight with Daniel Jacobs was kind of a bore fest. It was more of a boxing match, but neither guy was willing to trade in that fight. But Rosado, his game plan was trying to box Daniel Jacobs. It wasn't a pretty fight, but he did well against Jacobs in terms of he almost beat him, you know, and there's a lot of people that thought he did win. And then he rolled that into a awesome knockout of Bektemir Melikuziev. So I think part of the reason for the one-sided loss that he suffered to Jaime Munguia was having to cut the weight at his age. Having to come back down from 168 to 160 to fight Munguia. I think that had a lot to do with why Rosado struggled against Munguia. So I'm not saying that's the reason he lost. I'm just saying I think that played a factor in. When you're 35 years old, you know, and you move down in weight, that's tough. That's a tough thing to do. Moving down in weight is tough for any fighter. But to do it at the age of 35, yeah, it's not as easy anymore. So, but Rosado's always been well conditioned, so I don't think anybody really questioned that. But I believe that played a role, and I think Rosado should make one last run and throw his name in a hat at 168. 168, in my opinion, Canelo is about to blow that division up by giving up all the belts at some point. Because I think, to be honest, I think there's a good chance that Canelo only comes back to 168 to defend his titles against Triple G, Jermall Charlo, maybe Demetrius Andrade. After that, I think he's moving to 175 to take over that division, to be honest. So, I really believe that at least one or two of the belts that Canelo has at 168 are going to go up for grabs. And so Rosado should throw himself in the mix. That's going to be a wide open division. I don't think David Benavidez is for long at 175. So again, I think that division's going to be wide open. Rosado's a veteran. He's a respected veteran that people will look at as a gatekeeper, and they'll try to get a fight with him because they'll think it's a guaranteed win. I think you should ride it out, make one last run at 168 and see what happens. So that's it. That's pretty much the aftermath of Jaime Munguia, Gabriel Rosado. Haven't really heard much out of the Rosado camp after the loss, but we'll see what happens. But that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. True Boxing, you've been in with the truth.